and we just really formed in the autumn of last year, but we're only really kicking us off. So this is our first event. So welcome. Just a note to say we've got recording on, but it's only going to be this welcome session. Because this is an unconference, we're really keen to share ideas, have open discussions as a place to share and see how we want to shape this SIG going forwards and what sort of events and things you might be interested. So to aid discussion and to speak openly, we'll only be recording the sort of intro session, not the discussion parts in there. So we'll be going through a welcome from each of us that's within the organising group of the SIG, and then we'll be going on to some of the discussions around some of the topics that people have chatted around. I think with the numbers that we've got here, we'll just stay in the one room and we'll kind of see. So you'll see we'll keep on posting the link into the chat, but that will be the Padlet where you can put ideas and things up there. So have a look through them and see if there's any questions that haven't already been asked that you would like to cover. And then we'll go from that. And then for the final part of today's session, we'll kind of see the summary, see what we've discussed, and see some of the things we might like to plan ahead in the year to come. So that's great. So I'm going to turn this slide off and I'll come and see you. So you actually have all the people in the room. So let me introduce myself. So my name's Ross Ward and I'm one of the co-chairs of the group. When the idea for setting up special interest groups came around the mailing list, I've had it in the back of my mind for a while that I would like to set up a space for people who are working independently, because there isn't really a nice segment within alt for us that we fall into. So I submitted the idea, and thankfully I've had a lovely group of people come to join and help run this SIG. And I'll introduce everyone and they can introduce themselves properly in a moment, but I'll give a little bit of background about me. So I've been independent. My job title, because that'll probably be part of today's chat, is a learning technology specialist in brackets freelance, because that's probably broad enough to cover the variety of things I do. I've been working in learning technology for such a long time, but working independently for almost 8 years. And on that variety of things, that sort of, when you talk about learning technology, you've got the technology in nitty-gritty part and the pedagogy side. I probably 1 foot over the middle towards the technology side, just sort of the hands-on doing things. But yeah, that sort of breadth of everything, that's the way I can best describe it. Luckily, we're in a room of similar professionals, so you don't actually have to explain what you do. Normally it's just blank faces when you try and explain what on earth it is that your job is. So that's that. But the big question is, why freelance for me, or why working independently? For me, it was purely the right time just to try something new and try to create a work-life balance for me. I've got a young family, so balancing work and childcare and things has been kind of the biggest primary motivator, but also I've had an interest in it for a long time. I think I'd been in one institution for a long time and kind of found a groove, but maybe I was too comfortable, so now I've become very uncomfortable by throwing yourself in at the deep end. So lovely to see so many people here. Really looking forward to the conversations. Lovely to meet everybody. And then I'll pass over to the rest of the group. So Phil, I'll pass on to you.
Thanks very much, Ross. Thank you. Yeah, so I've, as I mentioned in the chat, I'm Phil. I work at the University of Leeds. I'm head of digital education enhancement and design. So I manage 2 teams, a team of learning technologists and a team of learning designers. So very much in kind of full-time employment and have been all of my career. So not an independent consultant. When the opportunity to get involved in the group was advertised, I put myself forward on the basis and on my interest around kind of career pathways. So it's not like I'm kind of currently looking to become an independent consultant at the moment, but very much from a desire to support individuals in their careers in and out of into consultancy, out of consultancy, into full-time employment, back and forward, as sometimes people do. But also we do have kind of frameworks and things like that in place at the University of Leeds. So we do have the opportunity to outsource work from time to time if needs must, and those kinds of things. So a genuine connected interest in working with independent consultants as well. So yeah, just nice to meet everyone. Hand over to Karine.
Thank you. There was an awkward silence there. I didn't quite know if anyone should just start talking or were you going to nominate someone. My name is Karen Youssef. I joined the SIG, I think, a couple of months ago as the event officer. I work at the University of Bristol as a digital education manager, but I am school-based. We also have a central team. I've been working at the University of Bristol for the past 4 years. Previously, I was an independent consultant, but in a different country. I used to live in France. So when I moved to the UK, we were talking about it earlier, I had my daughter. I was in a new country. I didn't know anyone. So I thought, well, I probably need something more stable. So I applied to this job and then I was lucky to get it. So I continued to do what I used to do, but just that I know that at the end of the month I will receive a salary and I don't have to deal with the papers and all the logistics. That's me. So shall I nominate you, Becky?
Hi, yeah. I'm Becky Dresden. I'm a bit of everything actually, because I'm currently an employee 2 days a week at University College of Estate Management, which is like a specialist built environment institution. I'm also technically still a consultant, although I haven't been doing much freelance work because I've been studying, but I actually had a conversation with a recruiter this morning about a contract. So I felt like I'm legitimately got a foot in both camps now. I know Tim from the Open University where I worked for 18 years, and I probably wouldn't have made the leap into freelance if my team hadn't been targeted for voluntary redundancy. Although I say that, but when there was a general offer of that a couple of years before, I had done the sums and they turned me down. But the thing about the OU is it has incredibly long lead times. So what I thought would be appealing about freelance would be doing sort of short, sharp projects that were very kind of focused and you saw the beginning and the end within a matter of months maybe, rather than kind of 5 years. But what I've actually ended up having is sort of contracts that have kind of dragged on longer than I expected. I'm a lead learning designer at UCM, and I was a senior learning designer at the OU, but I've got kind of a editorial, user experience-ish learning design background. And because the OU is kind of fully online, fully distance, that's my experience. So I had kind of thought advising universities who hadn't done much in the online and distance field would be a good thing. And then COVID happened. So that was quite convenient. So now it's kind of, I feel like it's an interesting time to start this group, because it's sort of, those of us who work in the higher education sector know that it's a bit frantic at the moment in a variety of ways. So that might mean more or less use of freelancers. That might mean more or less opportunities for traditional career pathways. So sorry, I'm just talking too much, but I think this is just the perfect time for this group, and I'm really pleased that we've got a kind of range of people here. Okay, Amy, I'll shut up.
Hi everyone, my name's Amy Woodgate. I think I would refer to myself these days as a online learning specialist, but sometimes I'm a learning designer. Sometimes on some contracts I'm a content producer, I think I've been called, or yeah, it's all a little bit bizarre. In fact, one of the interesting posts on the Padlet was what do you refer to yourself and why? And actually I find that I'm kind of a bit of a chameleon with certain names that as I pick and choose as per the needs of a particular project or tender or something. But I would probably say, back to Ross's distinction, I'd say I'm more on the learning design side than the learn technology side. I have a team of learn technologists, media producers, etc., that get involved in some of the course development projects. But yeah, I jumped ship from university life, I guess, about 8-9 years ago, and it was just stars aligned. It made sense. A lot of changes were happening in the university at that stage, and it just felt like it was a good point to move on. So I actually quit without expecting to set up a business. I just decided to leave the institution and see what happened, which terrified my father, and then then ended up with a couple of contracts, and then the rest is forgotten, as I genuinely can't believe it's been 9 years already. But yeah, crazy old world. And that's me. So back to you, Ross.
Thanks very much. Yeah, you took the leap. I then copied you after I saw it could work. So yeah, I was like, oh, that looked fun. So no, thanks everyone for the introductions. Just a quick summary, again over what the SIG is. We have our webpage, which I'll place a link into later on. But it kind of summarizes what we're doing. There is this 2 elements of it. I won't hog it all on independent careers. There's career pathways as well. So it's an open conversation around everything. There's not really too many careers that all follow the exact same line. There is many different ways that we work. So that's something to highlight. So in terms of what the overall aims of the SIG are, is to share experiences, share guidance if we have any, like amongst ourselves, also to advocate for us as a group type, for things like Alt-C. Some of the issues we face are a little bit different, so we can kind of loop that back into the wider Alt organization, that we're not a big institution, we're not vendors, we tend to be quite small elements, so we like to be able to, this is a way that we can kind of have our voice heard a little bit more at assemblies and things. So yeah, plenty of stuff on the webpage there. Next part of today's session is a chance to have a discussion. So hopefully you've had a minute to look at the Padlet. I know we've been talking, so I was going to maybe have a couple of minutes of hold music, which we don't have, where you can go have a look, see if there's any questions that you would like to add on here, because the aim of today is really about having that open discussion, and go for it. Obviously, while people are reading that, anyone's welcome to sort of jump on the mic, but I can bring it back in a couple of minutes just to see if there's anything that we want to do. I'll share the screen so people can see it as well. Actually, that would probably make sense, rather than it just being complete silence.